in this video, I would like to explain about the state chart diagram. State chart diagram is one of the UML diagram that is quite common to represent the state of your application. So it's a bit different with the flowchart or like in the previous meeting we already talked about the class diagram. In this session, the state chart diagram, we have different point of view. For example, in the flowchart, we see a program as step by step of the process. As we can say that a lot of the term in the flowchart is like verb, like doing something, like processing something. But in the state chart, it's more like we have the point of the state of the condition of our program, like waiting, running, and then doing something else, turn off, turn on, idle, and etc. So it's more like we view based on the state, based on the condition of the program. So it's a bit different. So in English language, maybe in the stage diagram we can say that we use a lot of adjective instead of verb. So it's pretty different, right? So in the flowchart, you see it as process, which is verb, doing something, compile something, add something, check something. So it is verb. But in the state chart, we see it as state, as an adjective. So like idle, waiting, and etc. So what is state? State is a condition during which the object is in a certain stage and perform some action, maybe waiting for an event. So the representation of the state chart itself for the state, for the condition of the program is like this one. You can also use just simple rectangle like this one. This is also possible. This one is like a rounded rectangle, but also using the title here, so you can name the title here. Next is the transition. The state transition is a scenario that represents a path through a state transition diagram. That means this is a transition between one state to another state. So like from from sleep, okay, we'll go into the next state, which from unconscious to conscious stage. So the transition is maybe like a wake up, or just ring the bells or anything, or just drink coffee. So from unconscious to conscious. So this is the state, and this is the transition. The transition is more like a transition from a state to another state, or like a trigger event from the that trigger the first state to change into the second stage. Next is the spatial states. So there are two spatial states which we called start state and stop state. This is similar to the flowchart diagram that if you remember in the flowchart, you can see that this one is start, and then do something here, branching, and etc. And at the end, you put the end here, right? So the start state and then the stop state also represent the same, like in the flowchart. So in the state chart, you can start the state chart with the start state, and then do something here. For example, the state is changed. This is the transition. For example, turn on the machine, and then it's it's idle or waiting for input or anything, and then maybe collect the input from the user, and then you will give the user money, for example, and then end the state with the stop state. Quite similar, right? But the difference is in the state chart, you only can have and must have one and only start state. So it's only one, but you can have a lot of stop states. So you can have like this one, and this one, like this one. Okay, so as you can see, the start state is only like a solid circle, but in the stop state, you can see it is a solid circle with outline here, like this one. In the state chart, you can have one and only one start, and you can have a lot of stop. See, the example is like when you are doing when you are trying to do a transaction in the ATM machine, for example, you start with put in your card, so it's only start with an action, but it can be vary in terms of stop the process. I mean, you can do a single transaction and then stop the transaction, and so it's just stop the whole process. But also, you never do the transaction since you maybe just missing your PIN number and your card being blocked by the ATM, you can't hold the money and etc. So that means there are several possibilities about the stop state, about the stop condition. When it stop, it can be differ from each other. It can be like many ways to do to get the end of the process. So that's how the state chart describe. So the state chart is like trying to view your program based on its stage. Like currently your program is waiting, currently your program is idle, currently your program like giving a feedback or give maybe asking for pin and etc. So it's the state, more like the state, and the program can stop with the stop state in many or in very in a very different way. I mean, like, there are a lot of options to stop your project, to stop your application. Okay, let's go with the example. This is the cashier machine. So this is start, okay, just the start, and then this is stop. See? So we start the machine, and then the machine will wait for the barcode. So for the barcode, and okay, just waiting for the barcode. So this is the state of your machine. And then the transition is the scanning barcode. So when it has happened, then there is an event that is scanning barcode. Then it will lead a change from the wait, and the machine will turn into show data state. So it's like, okay, I'm waiting for the barcode. Okay, I got the barcode, and then I will show the data. And then here, after show the data, I will wait for the quantity. The system will wait for the quantity, and the user, the cashier, will input the quantity, and then it will change into calculate subtotal, calculate total, and end of the process. So this is just a simple example of how we use the state chart diagram. Let's go to the next example. We have an ATM machine example here. So as you see, I have one start state, but I can have more than one. Okay, so this is 1 and 2. So we have 2 stop state here because we have several ways to stop or to end up this process. So we start here, and then the system is off, and then the admin will begin the system, start the system, and then it will become idle and waiting for the card. And then a user will insert the card. That will lead into the next stage, the authentication state. Also, in the state chart, you can write you can group several states into a single state like this one. This is the authentication state, and inside the authentication state, we can have the state of asking PIN and block the ATM card. Block the card. So inside the authentication state, we can have ask PIN and a block ATM. As you can see, in the ask PIN, it also has a recursive action. So it's also possible to write recursive like this one. That means it will repeatedly ask for the PIN. Okay, ask the PIN, and then it will check the PIN. It also has the branching like the flowchart. Check the PIN. If it is wrong, like more than 3 times, it will be blocked, and it will end the process. Stop the process with the stop stage. This is if the pin is wrong, is incorrect. But if the pin is correct, then it will go to the transaction state. And we have prompt and verify. This is the prompt trying to looking for the transaction, the desirable transaction, do the transaction, and then verify, which means after I choose the transaction, I will verify the transaction, like okay, this is the correct amount and anything, and then it will the user will take out the card and it will stop. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I think that's all. You can ask me if you have any question in the comment as well as in our WA group. Thank you.